Now let's put all of this together, our HTML and our CSS. Let's put everything together and look at a sample, also basic website, but not as basic as the first website that we built. Let's look at a sample website and see what each CSS code and each HTML code does within that website. And at the end of that, we're going to load that in our browser and see how all of those interact with one another. I'm going to be sharing the sample codes with you, so feel free to download it in the materials section of the course. Now, the first file we are going to be looking at is the index.html file. So I'm just going to open this in Visual Studio Code. Now, for the index.html file, like I said, you can see it has a body, it has a head, a body, and a footer. All right? So let's start with the first tag. The doctype HTML tag simply just tells the browser that this document is a HTML document. And then the opening tag, the opening HTML tag, introduces the HTML codes to the browser, starting with the head. Now, within the head, we have a title, and the title is test website. And then we have a link file, and the referral is style.css. Remember I mentioned that there are 3 ways to add CSS to your HTML codes. Now, this way of linking your CSS to your HTML codes is what we call external CSS. All right? Now, the name of the CSS file is style.css, and it is located in the same folder with my HTML file. That's why I can make use of just the name style.css. Now, within the body, we have a header, and the header is, I've given it a h1 tag, and it says test website. Then I created a navigation. Within the navigation, I've created a list of menu items using unordered list tags. All right. Now, there are 2 ways of adding lists to your website. You either create an ordered list or an unordered list. The UL tag represents an unordered list, and the OL tag represents ordered lists. LI is for list item, and this A tag represents various links. Okay? Now, within the A tag, there's a href attribute that you put the link of where you want that particular menu item to go to. Now, for the home menu, I've put #home because we don't have a home page yet. Then I created an about as well and a contact as well. Now, if you look at this code very well, you can see that there are certain tags that can go within other tags. For instance, we have the A tag embedded inside the LI tag. What this means is there are certain tags that can be nested into other tags, and that's what makes HTML very easy to understand. After adding the lists, we close the unordered list tag, and then we close the nav tag as well. And that brings us to the end of the header. Now, the section ID home, we have a H2 level header that says welcome to my website, and then a paragraph that says this is a simple one-page website with a great user interface and interactive elements. And then we added a button that you can click and change the color of the website, and we gave that an ID, change color. This ID is going to be referenced in our JavaScript. and we're going to see that in the JavaScript code. Now for the About section, we also have a H2 header and a paragraph. For the Contact section as well, we have a H2 header and we have a paragraph. And then we have the footer, where we've included a copyright. And then lastly, we link the script file as well, the JavaScript file. And I gave this script.js. So let's look at what we have in style.css. Okay, let me minimize this. Now for the style.css file, I'm going to open that again in my Visual Studio Code. For the body, the font family I chose is Arial. There's no margin or padding. What margins do is margins give you space between that element and the left and right of that element. And then we've aligned all the text to the center as well. For every container, we've given it a max width of 960 pixels, which gives us a breaking point for screens that are smaller than desktop screens. For the header, we gave it a background color. And all text will be colored white. All text within the header will be colored white. And then we give it a padding of 20 pixels. All the items are aligned in the center. Now for the navigation on ordered lists, the list style is none because I don't want any decoration. If you don't do this, you are going to see a bullet attached to each list for unordered list. For ordered lists, it gives you numbers or Roman numerals. Now for each list item, we've given it a margin to the right of 20 pixels because we want the menu items to show properly. Now for each tag that has A, we've given the color as white because we want all the menu links to show white. For each section that we created, remember we created a home, an about, and a contact section. We gave it a padding of 40 pixels. And we said that all headers with level 2 should be aligned to the center. And then the change color button is colored green and the text is white. And then we gave it a padding of 10 pixels and 20 pixels. Before we go on, let's take a look at what this HTML file looks like in the browser. For this, I'm just going to double click on index.html and then it opens up in our browser. Now you can see the menu items on the navigation bar. You can see the title, and then you can see the different sections that have been created. The About section and the Contact section, and then the button that says Change Color. Now, what happens when we click on this button? You can see that as you click on the button, the color of the entire website changes. Let's look at what makes this happen.